Volibear is a new build that's making him really strong. LeBlanc is going to be amazing with the new starting item changes, and much more as we provide you guys with 3 of the best solo carries for every single role in 25.21. But first, some hard truths. YouTube is built for the algorithm, not your LP. That means clickbait titles, junk food topics, and stretching simple tips for watch time. We're part of that system too, just like every guide and YouTube channel. And because every video is randomly surfaced to you as a singular guide and topic, advice often contradicts with what you just watched. No context, no plan, more confusion. On our website at SkillCapped, however, we're free from all that, allowing us to focus on what actually matters. We teach you the most efficient way to really rank you up fast, with the same premium editing and challenger level coaches you see here, just without the algorithm's hoops. Start with our essentials courses for every role, updated for season 15. These are meticulously planned step-by-step guides that build your fundamentals in the right order. Once you've finished essentials, move into the advanced courses: deep dive wave control, advanced mechanics, the proven bronze to diamond climb paths, and literal world record jungle clears for each jungler, all structured so lessons stack instead of contradict. While you follow these learning paths, we also release our popular challenger walkthroughs, new sessions every week showing how to abuse the best meta champs for your elo, supported with an AMA section below each video, which we always respond to. We back it with a climb 5 divisions improvement guarantee while you're actively using SkillCapped, plus a 30-day refund change of mind policy on top of that, so there's literally no risk. Stop trying to mix and match random guides and start following a structured path far away from all the noise. Click the limited time discount link below to join SkillCapped today. So if we start off by covering 3 of the best top lane champs for this patch, we've got a more underrated one to start, being Cassiopeia. 25.21 is going to make Cassiopeia incredibly powerful as a top laner because Riot's reducing the power of both Doran's shield and Second Wind. If laning up against a Cass top, the majority of Bruiser top laners are going to run Doran's shield with Second Wind, so she now has the ability to bully even harder in lane. The changes to Doran's ring could end up being massive for Cass as well, because with the changes, you will now restore more mana after dealing damage to enemies. All of these items and rune changes are just trending so positively for Cassiopeia, so we expect her to be one of the strongest top lane picks of the patch. Matchup wise for Cass top, champs who have mobility and kill threat as early as level 2 can be more tricky to play into, as Aurelia is one matchup that a lot of Cassiopeia top lane players are struggling against. You'd think that because of Cass W providing the ground effect that Aurelia would struggle more, but you have to keep in mind that Cass W is on a 24-second cooldown in lane, so it's not a reliable tool to keep someone like Aurelia off of you at all times. If your W is down and you end up missing Q, then Aurelia can punish that extremely hard, so because the matchup is a lot more volatile, Aurelia is a good ban to consider. The build you should be running consists of Rod of Ages Rush into Archangel's 2nd and Rylai's 3rd, while Conqueror slots in for the Keystone Rune. And then for our second solo carry top lane selection of the patch, we've got Garen. So Garen is one of the better fighter top lane champs you can play with how easy he is and how much power he's gained over the span of recent patches. Because Garen's EAD ratio was buffed multiple times this season, you go for a very heavy bruiser style build with Stridebreaker into Phantom Dancer and then Spear of Shojin 3rd. Infinity Edge is a 3rd item option as well if you're really accelerated and can find a base timer in the mid game where you have enough gold for a BF sword. Our challenger top laner Strumpist has a brand new full game commentary for Garen up on our website, and how he looks to approach the level 1 is really interesting, so let's have a listen in.
Now the first thing you're going to want to do here is get to this brush ASAP. Because I do have Ignite and I have Bone Plating and I have Last Stand, and this guy does not have Ignite, I actually win the 1v1. Also, I started Doran's Blade, and if you did not know, Garen actually has one of the highest base ADs in the game. It's 69 at level 1, like most champions. Let's click on our, okay, we don't have an ADC. Let's click on our Bel'Veth. Let's see what her base AD is. 60. So I basically have 350 gold worth, that's like a longsword, worth of extra base AD compared to her, right? And then you just do a whole ton of damage. So here, if Kayle walks past my mouse cursor, then I'm just gonna fight her. And we're just gonna wait here until we see where Kayle is. Okay, so I want her to walk past a little bit. All right, now I am behind her, and now we can start working on beating this guy up. All right, so we're at full conk stacks, and here I'm just gonna stay within minion EXP range and deny Kayle her EXP range. Now look, not only is she chunked, she got 0 EXP there, so she is absolutely cooked in this lane. She has No real win con to speak of.
So don't underestimate your level 1 trading power with Garen, especially if you are in the lower elos. The enemy top laner will let you sneak into that far brush most of the time, so it will set you up for a really free trade at level 1. And the crazy thing is that Kayle is a matchup that Garen actually hard loses to in solo queue. Garen players were only winning in 43% of Kayle matchups last patch, so if you look to apply this strategy against her, then you're going to have a much better time. One matchup that is worth a ban for Garen is Camille, as her passive shield and quick trade ability makes it hard for Garen to win out in trades during lane. The best blind pick top lane champ that you can play for 25.21 is going to be Malphite. So Malphite was just buffed last patch and has shot up to being one of the most consistently powerful tanks for solo queue. He's one of the few tanks who doesn't run Doran's shield and instead likes to take Doran's ring, so the flat out nerf to Doran's shield doesn't negatively affect him. With the likes of Aatrox and Jax being heavily contested in meta for top lane right now, Malphite is such a great add to your champion pool because he plays well into both of them. It's really only AP top lane champs who Mal wants to avoid going up against, so using your ban on Sylas is definitely recommended. As long as you can avoid Sylas, even if you're playing up against something like Teemo or Vladimir, whatever happens in lane will never solely dictate the state of the game because of how impactful Malphite's teamfight can be. You can be 0-5 in lane and show up to an out-of-count fight, hit a multi-man R, and just completely out-impact the enemy Teemo, who just gets CC'd to death. The standard build for Malphite will revolve around a Sunfire or Hollow Radiance Rush, depending on if you are laning into a physical or magic damage champ. From then on out, it's situationally tanky with items like Thornmail, Frozen Heart, and Kaenic Rookern being standard pickups. For the rune setup, you can grab either Grasp or Comet. Grasp is best when laning into champs who need to be in melee range to trade, like Yone, Tryndamere, or Jax, while Comet is best into ranged champs. So a jungler who has become increasingly popular and really powerful over these past few patches is Jax. Believe it or not, Jax is actually performing way better in the jungle than in the top lane right now, and he's especially good if you're plat or below. The thing about low elo is that picks like Master Yi and Warwick pop up way more often, and Jax does a really good job at nullifying the trading power of those picks due to his dodge mechanic from E. And of course, it was the R resist buff that Jax got back in 25.19 that has turned him into a stat check machine when he gets his level 6. To get the most out of Jax, and really any jungler for that matter, being able to clear your jungle camps as efficiently as possible is really key. So our jungle clear course on our website that features the optimal clear for every single jungler in the game is going to be insanely valuable for you, and it's just one of the many jungle courses you can get access to so that you can rank up as fast as possible. The meta build for Jax jungle revolves around a Trinity Force Rush into Sundered Sky second, as it offers up such incredible extended skirmish power. Matchups you want to avoid when picking Jax are spell-oriented picks who don't rely on auto-attacking at all to deal damage, so Lilia is a good ban to consider. So despite Riot nerfing Volibear's AP ratios in recent patches, he remains in a really powerful spot because you can just pivot to an alternative build instead of going Cosmic Drive. The item that has started winning the most on Volibear as his rush is Trinity Force. By going Trinity Force, you actually get significantly more upfront damage. As we can see in these comparison clips here, with the exact same combo of E into Q, auto, W, and then auto attacking 6 more times, we deal 1106 damage with Cosmic Drive, while Trinity Force is outputting 1324. That's actually a really insane difference, so why would you even bother going Cosmic Drive then? Well, the ability haste, movement speed, and magic damage are the draws. If the enemy team is heavy stacking armor, then getting more magic damage from Cosmic Drive can be nice, while the additional haste will get your second rotation of spells up a bit faster. All in all though, there's a reason Trinity Force has the better win rate over Cosmic Drive right now, and it's mainly due to the fact it deals way more upfront damage. For Volibear's second item, it's still going to be Flicker Blades, and then situationally tanky from then on out. One matchup you may want to consider banning when picking Volibear is Jax, as his E makes playing skirmishes a lot more tricky. And then for the rune page, it's going to be Lethal Tempo for the Keystone, followed by Inspiration for secondaries. And then to round out the top 3 for jungle in 25.21, it's going to be Diana. So Diana is getting nerfed for this patch, but we don't expect it to slash her power level by much at all. Reason being is that the initial buff that Riot gave Diana back in 25.19 saw her passive monster damage go up from 260 to 300%. In 25.21, they are partially reverting that, as the monster damage is going down to 280%. So it's still a buff compared to where she was a few patches ago, and that initial buff led to her win rate going up about 1%. So if we're taking away half of the buff, we should expect Diana's win rate to only drop by 0.5%, which would keep her in a really good spot. Diana just brings a lot of value for how Season 15 plays because her ability to take grubs is great, and she can fight around Otacon extremely well. A multi-man Diana R when the entire enemy team is stuck in the middle of the Otacon pit can single-handedly win games, and you're going to find these opportunities in a lot of games. Nashers and Liandry's are both viable rush items for Diana. If you're into a more squishy comp, then going Nashers for more upfront burst is great, but into tankier comps where you'll need extended fights to win, that's where the item combo of Liandry's and Riftmaker will work best. For meta matchups, Jax can be pretty annoying to play into right now, as he can just stat check you at level 6 with his bonus resists and ability to block your passive damage, so he's a good ban to consider. A mid lane champ who's really going to be liking the nerfs to D-Shield build and second wind for 25.21 is LeBlanc. LeBlanc has already been a very strong mid lane champ in recent patches, and the item changes should make her indirectly better. LeBlanc is a champ who wants to be exerting as much early game pressure as possible, so less sustain for enemies to survive her early barrage is amazing for her. Just a ton of positive changes for LeBlanc lately with her direct buffs back in 25.19 and 25.12, and then these item changes for 25.21. There are two matchups you're going to want to avoid when picking LeBlanc, and they include Malzahar and Vex. Malz isn't difficult to lane against by any means, and you can often win lanes super hard in the matchup, but if games drag on past 20 minutes, then Malz is just going to outplay you with his point-and-click R in teamfights and really limit your ability to dash in as aggressively as you want. Vex just gets great value from her passive, and the Fear is also quite easy to proc when LeBlanc tries to jump in. The core build for LeBlanc revolves around a Luden's Rush into Shadowflame's second and Rabadon's third, while Electrocute is always the best keystone rune. One of the most slept on mid lane mages who's coming off some buffs a few patches ago and who can look to benefit from the 25.21 item changes is Vel'Koz. So these longer range poke mages should see more viability moving forward, as less sustain in lane will allow for poke to become more significant. Even without these item changes though, Vel'Koz is incredibly undervalued as a mid lane mage. The amount of damage he can deal with a full combo allows for you to almost play him like an assassin. As long as you aren't behind the curve, a full rotation of spells is going to 100-0 a squishy champion once you have one item, so this gives you a lot of agency. Not only can you sit back and poke from range with Q, but you can position in the Fog of War, and if the enemies walk into you, then it's pretty easy to line up a full burst combo and delete a squishy champ before they can even flash away. Vel's core build was even buffed not too long ago with Horizon Focus becoming stronger, so you want to run the core of Ludens or Blackfire into Horizon Focus. Ludens is best against majority squishies, while Blackfire is optimal into a heavier tank comp. Since Vel'Koz is extremely skill shot reliant, champs with mobility are going to be more difficult to play into, so banning out Katarina or Ahri is good value. And then although Morgana is being nerfed for this patch, it's a pretty light change, so she's back in the top 3 for mid lane. The nerf does not affect Morgana's ability to perma-shove early on in lane, as it's her armor growth that is dropping from 5 to 4.2. So it will make it so that banning out Zed is even more important now, but the majority of meta mids aren't even physical damage right now, so this change doesn't affect how powerful Morgana's early game is at all. You will still be able to one-shot the ranged minions at level 5 with 1 W usage, so the perma priority and ability to easily farm up and achieve high CS scores is completely unchanged. The buff to Doran's Ring for this patch should be pretty nice for Morgana as well, because you now gain bonus mana regen when hitting enemies with abilities, and it's completely effortless to hit enemies with your W in lane. The standard build for Morgana revolves around a Blackfire Torch Rush into either Liandry's or Horizon Focus second. Liandry's and Horizon both have their perks, as Liandry's offers up more tankiness, while Horizon provides lots of ability haste. If the enemy team will be stacking a lot of health, then Liandry's burn damage will be more valuable, but if you're against a squishier comp, then Horizon's stronger upfront damage will be nice to have. So to our surprise, it's not looking like any of the top tier ADCs are being nerfed for 25.21, so Ashe is back in the top 3. Ashe got the AD growth buff back in 25.18, and it's propelled her past all other ADCs in strength. In terms of a blind pick ADC, there's just not much that beats Ashe right now, as you can pick her into almost anything and not have to worry about getting outclassed in lane. Since you don't have to worry about banning a specific ADC, getting rid of a support like Karma who can neutralize your early game strength is a good idea. With so much team fighting going on around objectives this season due to Otacon, Ashe's vision reveal with E is so powerful because not having to face check into the enemy team if your support doesn't place vision down is super nice. With Seraphine coming back into meta and being a great support pick right now, the Ashe Seraphine lane is something that you should definitely try if you have someone to duo with. Ashe R into Seraphine R at level 6 is such a free kill combo, while you've also got perma push in lane with the AoE from both champs, so it's a super obnoxious lane. For the build on Ashe, you are either rushing Kraken Slayer or Yuntal Wild Arrows. Kraken will be best for most games, but if you do get a few kills early in lane and have enough gold for a BF sword on your first base, that's when going towards Yuntal is most optimal. And if you guys are looking to pick up Ashe for this patch, we've got a brand new full game commentary out for her up on our website from our Challenger ADC 6-Axe. So Ashe is definitely the best early game dominant ADC that you can play right now, but if you want someone who scales exceptionally well, then nobody is topping Jinx. Riot overbuffed Jinx a few patches ago, and she's been a top 3 ADC ever since. Jinx is one of the few ADCs where you actually feel like you have legit solo carry power in a teamfight due to her passive. You also don't need to be ahead of the curve to be impactful, as a Jinx with 2 items and a passive proc in a teamfight can completely go off. There are so many games where the enemy ADC may actually be ahead of you in items, but because of how much value you can get from proccing passive in a fight, you can easily out-impact them even when behind. Yuntal into Infinity Edge is the core build that you'll want to be running on Jinx, paired with lethal tempo for the Keystone Rune. The only major weakness to Jinx is that she doesn't have a reliable way to fend off heavy dive champs, so banning out a meta diver like Jarvan or Diana is a good idea. So one of the best ADCs for the lower elos right now and rounding out the top 3 for the role is Smolder. So Smolder's priority has been on the rise as of recent due to other strong ADCs around him getting nerfed while he's avoiding any significant nerfs this season. What's great about Smolder is that he's pretty easy to pick up as his skill floor is quite low and his scaling power is incredible, so you have a very clear win condition to play towards. Farming up and reaching those 225 stacks of Q is vital, and it really incentivizes good CSing, which not only helps you with Smolder, but helps you improve as a whole as well. Often what holds low elo ADCs back from climbing is just not achieving high enough CS scores, so the fact Smolder has a built-in mechanic that rewards you for farming is really nice. The support meta is also aligned really well for Smolder right now, as enchanters have started to take over in recent patches. We are seeing a lot of Melio, Karma, and Nami, and Smolder has a ton of success with them. The rush item for Smolder is always going to be Essence Reaver, but you have options for your second purchase. Infinity Edge and Spear of Shojin are viable, so it depends on what the team comps are looking like. If the enemy team has a lot of dive, and it's going to be harder for you to stay alive in fights, then opt for Spear of Shojin. Into less mobile enemy comps, you can get away with going max DPS with Infinity Edge. Since Smolder's early game isn't the best and he wants to be able to farm up as freely as possible, banning out a strong early game ADC like Ashe is a good idea, or a support like Karma. So moving on to support now, one of the best champs you can play if you are plat or below right now is Brand. Brand is coming off multiple different buffs in recent patches, and a few of his AP ratios were buffed, which helps him out more in the lower ranks, where games last longer and you'll be able to take better advantage of the AP ratio buffs. With all the AoE damage that Brand is able to output, he fits in so well for this season where there's constant fighting around objectives. Brand R during a fight around Otacon has immense value, and if you've got your Rylai's completed, which you should by that time, then being able to slow the entire enemy team is insane as well. Make sure you're rushing Rylai's and not Liandry's or Blackfire Torch. You don't need mana on Brand support, so Blackfire is bait, while Rylai's slow is just amazing value on Brand that you want to rush it as quick as you can. Being a mage who lacks a gap closer, playing into champs who have heavy dive power isn't ideal, so banning out Jarvan is good value. A support who continues to be a staple in the top 3 for Season 15 is Melio. So we've got another patch where Melio is just going to be the uncontested, most impactful enchanter in solo queue. It's just the amount of value that Melio brings to the table while being super easy to pilot that makes him such a great champ. Melio Q is probably one of the more annoying basic abilities to play against if you're a champion who has mobility, because the fact that the spell can just stop you in your tracks and completely shut down champs trying to dive in makes it such a powerful spell. And if the enemy does somehow find a way onto your carry, then you've got the shields and R to follow up. So actually killing a carry that Melio is actively trying to protect is nearly impossible. On top of all this, Melio has incredible synergy with two of the best ADCs in meta, being Jinx and Ashe. The fact Melio's W increases the range on auto attacks makes Jinx and Ashe so oppressive because they already have long auto ranges to start with. The standard core build for Melio revolves around an Echoes of Helia Rush into Moonstone or Ardent Censer second. Moonstone is best in games where the enemy team has significant burst threat, so having additional sustain is nice, while Ardent works great otherwise. Blitz is always a good ban to consider when picking Melio, as it's hard for Melio to counter Blitz hook. And then, even though this champ has yet to catch on a ton in solo queue, he's by far the most underrated melee support, being Amumu. Amumu has been dominating ever since his Q buffs, and it's really no surprise. The value that Amumu's kit provides for you in Season 15 is absolutely incredible. Team fighting is where Amumu shines, and there's just so much team fighting going on around Otacon and Dragons in the mid game, where getting a multi-man Amumu R off can win you the game straight up. Just the flat-out level 6 skirmish of Amumu is insane as well, especially when paired up with a meta ADC like Ashe or Jinx, who have long-range follow-up potential. Champs who have ways to counter your engaged strength are definitely who you want to avoid, and Morgana is a good ban to consider right now. For Amumu's build, you'll be rushing Locket, and then second item, you got options, as Thornmail, Abyssal Mask, and Redemption are all being played to good success. Thornmail is ideal into a heavy AD enemy comp, Abyssal if the enemy team is more magic damage heavy, while you can't really go wrong with Redemption if you're not sure if Thornmail or Abyssal are worth it. Alright guys, one last thing, our rank up guarantee is insane. It's like signing up for the gym and getting a refund if you don't get ripped. That's how confident we are in SkillCapped. We obsess over making the best guides with top players, rigorous testing, and top tier video editing to make your climb easy. If you're ready to level up, visit SkillCapped.com and see the difference. So that's gonna wrap everything up for the 25.21 edition of the best solo carries. Thank you all so much for watching. We'll see you back soon.